Most of the foods that go into the whole food concentrate in the whole earth and sea multis are grown on the farm. Superfoods, things like kale, blueberries, raspberries, a variety of herbs, and those provide polyphenols. So these are plant-based antioxidants that will complement the vitamins and minerals that you would expect to find in a standard multi, but giving you above and beyond. So helping to get those testosterone levels up, which can really be a game changer for men in terms of mood, overall well-being, not to mention things like muscle mass, for example, energy, motivation, and sleep. More and more people are reporting taking ashwagandha at bedtime and improving and reporting better sleep. And yes, stress response. So simply being more resilient in the face of stress. We can't control what's coming at us,
Right.
but we can control how we react to it. And sometimes that is has to do with just supporting our body's stress response system, which is something ashwagandha does.
Welcome, folks, to episode 136. I'm your host, Dr. Dayon of Healthy Habit Medical Center, and we're talking with Dr. Kate Rhéaume today from Canada, back on the podcast. For the regular listeners, you know Dr. Kate, but for those of you who it's your first time seeing Dr. Kate here today, Dr. Kate's an author and naturopathic doctor. She's a graduate and former faculty member of the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, which I almost went to, by the way, but I chose the Phoenix School here, but same organization there, CCNM in Toronto. Dr. Kate lectures internationally on many topics related to health and wellness and is a frequent guest on radio and television across North America. She's the author of the best-selling book, Vitamin K2 and the Calcium Paradox, How a Little-Known Vitamin Could Save Your Life. Today we're covering men's health, natural factors, whole earth and sea, and much more. You turned into a good one here, folks. How are we doing, Dr. Kate? Welcome back.
Thank you. So good to be back. I'm doing very well, thanks. How about you?
Doing great. Staying busy, keeping people educated and healthy. And you're helping do that. So thanks for being here, Dr. Kate. So let's start from the top here. Where do you want to start with men's health? Last time we were on, we covered women's health, hypothyroidism, perimenopause, menopausal types of symptoms going on. Let's hear your thoughts. Set the stage for us here today with men's health, and then we'll dive deeper.
I think the overarching, theme to start with, and the takeaway point is, we know that men aren't as proactive about taking care of
Right.
themselves and their health typically as women are. I think women are more likely to reach out or, see their doctor regularly, see their naturopathic doctor. And there's so much that men can be doing either to be proactive or to help with things that, so much of the time we think, oh, it's such and such is just a part of aging, whatever changes we're experiencing. And that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. And
Right.
so men can feel better.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree any more with that. A lot of men that come to our clinic, for example, or even the store here, they get brought in by their wife, their significant other, their spouse, their girlfriend and whatnot. So this shows like this are important to get them on their prevention journey, right? So they know about what could not happen if they don't take their health serious. So let's start with foundational health. It's always a good starting point, right? Setting the stage, setting the foundation, the building blocks that we can then build on top of over our life. Let's start with a good basic 50 plus multi from Whole Earth and Sea. I've used a lot of the Whole Earth and Sea multivitamins. Basically, you just add in a tablet with each meal. But why Whole Earth and Sea men's 50 plus?
So the Whole Earth and Sea line has two formulas for men, the men and the men 50 plus. The difference between them, first of all, both of the formulas are tailored for men, which means they're iron free. Typically, men don't need an iron in their multivitamin, since unlike women, men aren't losing iron regularly. So you don't necessarily want it building up unless you need an iron supplement. So
Right.
that's important. There are other nutrients that are more important for men, minerals, for example, like zinc, really important for men's reproductive and overall health, as well as herbs in this formula. So botanical medicines to complement the vitamins and minerals for example, prostate support, keeping a healthy prostate, and particularly the one you mentioned, Dr. Dayan, in the 50 plus formula. It has more of those herbs for prostate support, a little bit more magnesium for cardiovascular support. You want to maintain a healthy cardiovascular system because those are two big health concerns for men as they age and in the 50 plus range is prostate health and heart health.
Got it. And you're not anymore right now in clinical practice working actively with patients, correct? Not.
That's right. Yeah, that's on hold for now.
Did you work with men over your career as well, or were you just strictly female women's health? You did both.
No, yeah, definitely general family practice. And there's always a joke that the woman would come in first.
There
She'd
you
bring
go.
all her kids in. Then finally, the man, he was like the caboose in the train.
Yeah.
Don't be the caboose, but
Right.
yes, that's what often would be the case.
Amazing. And so when the men would finally come on in to see you, what was some of their issues? Prostate typically? What were you noticing is the big problem there in the male population?
Prostate would be it, or energy would be often a big one. Sometimes digestion, sometimes concerns over a family history of heart health problems. And as the man approaches 50, doesn't want to be in the same category as other men in the family who've had heart health problems, that kind of thing. Those were very common concerns and complaints.
Perfect. And then, like you mentioned, the male formula with the Maltese and the whole earth and sea, they don't need as much iron, right? That in fact, men typically have the other issue where they have too much iron building up, that hemochromatosis that can happen, put us at risk for heart issues, heart disease, strokes, high blood pressure, and things of that nature. So I'm glad you highlighted that as well.
Mm.
So again, whole earth and sea, folks, great comprehensive formulas for multivitamins. A lot of their formulas come from that BC farm there up in Canada, where they actually, in their proprietary blend there, they use freshly grown from the farm that they put directly into their multi. Do you want to highlight that a little bit if someone's not new to if they're new to this?
Definitely. Whole Earth and Sea Farms, or sometimes called Factors Farms, Natural Factors Farms. It's 1,000 acres of organic farmland in the Okanagan Valley. So this is the interior of British Columbia, an area that has long been used for farming because when the glaciers receded, it left behind deep soil deposits of this wonderful soil. This farming area in particular has been farmed organically and restoratively. In fact, regenerative farming that adds to the soil through the farming methods. And as you pointed out, Dr. Dan, most of the foods that go into the whole food concentrate in the whole earth and sea multis are grown on the farm. Superfoods, things like kale, blueberries, raspberries, a variety of herbs, and those provide polyphenols. So these are plant-based antioxidants that will complement the vitamins and minerals that you would expect to find in a standard multi, but giving you above and beyond.
Perfect. I'm going to do a quick screen share here so you can see it directly from the website. For the audio listeners, Spotify or Anchor, you can just head over to wholeearthandsea.com and search their whole food supplements, their multis. Here's the men's 50 plus multivitamin and multimineral, which provides the full range of nutrients needed to support the health demands of men, specifically over age of 50, where we get some more of that prostate support, low iron in this formula, or no iron really, actually, that they're adding in. Additionally, it's found obviously in other fruits and veg in proper amounts, but they don't need extra added in. And here it is, that active vegetables and farm fresh factors here at the bottom that Dr. Kate was highlighting comes directly from that BC farm, which is really unique. All these are organic ingredients. So fascinating. We can go deep and deep on that. So that's something that if you've never been there, maybe try and reach out and see if you can go get a tour of that facility in British Columbia. Why chromium? Why is chromium added into this formula? You can see here the percentages on the far right, the daily value, and chromium's second in most numerous. They're at 11.43%, right under that
Mm-hmm.
B12. It's the second highest nutrient in there. Tell us a bit about chromium picolinate, Dr. Kate.
Well, we know one of the major concerns that affect men of all ages, but in North America, men 50 plus, is blood sugar
Yeah.
imbalances. And difficulty regulating blood sugar is a major problem. And it is one that affects lots of different aspects of health. And one mineral that helps us regulate our blood sugar, helps us be more sensitive and reactive to our own insulin so we can get the sugar from our blood into our cells where we want and need it, is chromium. because soils are being depleted, diets are often low in chromium, and it can really make a difference in how people respond to the sugar in their foods.
Absolutely. Yep. That pre-diabetes status is so
Mhm.
common in men. So that's a makes sense for that to be added into the formula there. So again, men's 50 plus, whole earth and sea. We have the full stack right here at Healthy Habit Health Foods. Or call us if you have any other questions about this. We also ship nationwide. 602-252-6000. The number's also in the description box below this video. So RX Omega 3, we've covered this in previous episodes for different topics, but this also applies to men's health, correct? Tell us about the omegas.
It sure does. And yes, omegas, we keep talking about them because they are foundational nutrients that are so important for so many aspects of health. Maintaining a healthy heart, brain health, overall inflammatory response. All of these things are important for men's health at any age and stage of life, but especially with 50 plus for cardiovascular health, mood, as well as cognitive function, so different aspects of how the brain works. And we know with age, inflammation tends to kind of get dialed up and then not dialed back down, or certainly not as quickly as it should be. In other words, our healthy inflammatory balance can become out of whack or
Right.
unbalanced. And omega-3s play a role there. So as a foundational nutrient in terms of one that does so much and so challenging to get from foods alone and even from a healthy diet, the RX omega-3 really steps in to deliver those healthy fats.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can even do a blood test to see where your status is at. I'm sure you've heard of this or done this in your clinical practice over the years, the OmegaCheck, right? Where you
Mhm.
can compare. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because we need both, right? We need some sixes and the threes. So tell us about that balance.
That's right. And sometimes it's motivating as well for people to see those numbers to understand what's happening
Right.
inside. And you're right, we do talk a lot about omega-3s because omega-6s and the wrong types of omega-6s often tend to be overrepresented in a standard North American diet. And that's when people are eating lots of, say, processed foods, high in vegetable oils, especially deep frying in those foods. When you heat those oils, they're particularly problematic. And so, in general, emphasizing or taking in getting a supplement of the omega-3s is one that will help balance out that imbalance between the omega-3 and the omega-6s. But if you are working with a naturopathic doctor, or somebody can run the blood work, then sometimes seeing those numbers and where your blood work is at in terms of the fats is helpful.
Absolutely. So most people in the Western world, they get too much of the sixes, right, Dr. Kate, from all the
Definitely.
rancid fats. And believe it or not, excess nuts and seeds, to be honest. That's an unpopular one to talk about because I tell my patients, God put them in shells for a reason. Supposed to be a couple
Yes,
here
I
and
love
there,
that
right?
one.
So, but then they shelled them, and now we're just going handfuls, and they're really high in omega sixes, the nuts
Mhm.
and seeds. So that's something to think about too. And then very little seafood in the diet to balance all that nut and seed consumption. So
Mhm.
good. Thanks for highlighting that. And so far we've covered the multivitamin, multi-mineral. Remember, foundational health for men's health, somewhere to get started, especially someone that they have no idea where to start. You know, a lot of people, they come in, it's their first time they've ever been to our store, and we've been there for 25 years. The store's been there 20 plus years. So this is a great starting point. Let's talk probiotics. You know, the ultimate 12 by 12 or the 24 by 12 formulas by Natural Factors. Tell us about the importance of probiotics after decades of having gut irritants and antibiotic use and all these different environmental chemicals that can just wreak havoc on the gut health. Tell us about the probiotics.
Very much so. This is all about rebalancing and replenishing the microbiome. So that is the collection of bacteria in our intestines. In this case, we're talking about the intestinal microbiome. Of course, we have this whole ecosystem throughout the body, but really when it comes to the gut, that balance between good and bad bacteria can absolutely be thrown out of whack. And then that really has an impact on immune system, digestion, of course, even mood that can affect us. And so, one thing that we can do, in addition to taking out the processed foods, the high sugar foods, getting in more fiber, high fiber
Yeah.
foods, But then, fermented foods and probiotics will help to restore the beneficial bacteria. So that's where the, say, 12-12 or the 24-12 types of formulas come in. And that those numbers refer to the number of different strains in the
Okay.
formula, as well as the potency. So 12 billion or 24 billion. And you want strains that help both the small intestine as well as the large intestine. And so looking at an overall balanced profile for those probiotics.
So how do you know where to go, the 12 by 12 or 24? What's a good starting point? Maybe someone that's completely far off from their health or the severity of their diseases. How do you go about that?
So for somebody who's, really not sure where to start and you're just looking for foundational support and you don't have any specific health concerns or complaints, and maybe even on a budget, for example, the 12-12 covers all the bases, provides 12 different strains, the most economical or budget friendly, because the concentration's a bit lower. And, one of those a day will help replenish that healthy bacteria. If you have any specific health concerns or digestive changes, or maybe you're recovering from some kind of illness or antibiotic use, you will probably want to be taking a higher potency, so the
Right.
24 billion concentration, at least one of those per day, for people sort of in that regard. So that's a kind of a broad overview of where to look for and start. But both of the formulas provide that broad spectrum of, strains for both small and large intestines.
Right. You mentioned the fiber couple moments ago to help feed the bacteria in the first place, right? If we're not getting enough fiber, those bacteria just start to die off, literally. And then the probiotic is needed to replenish all that. But tell us a bit more about that fiber piece for blood sugar balance, even. That's a great technique, tool for managing prediabetes or full blown type 2 diabetes. A lot of times people, they're low in fiber that have these diseases. Is there a specific natural factors fiber that's easy on the gut that someone could potentially use, at least in the beginning, to start building it up?
Definitely. There are a couple, but the one that probably is sort of easiest to use, easiest to incorporate, in terms of, working it into your diet, for example, relief fiber. And you're right, this is helpful for feeding the gut bacteria because that's what they eat. They like to eat fiber. It also plays a role in stabilizing blood sugar. When
Mm,
you avoid blood sugar spikes, first of all, you tend to feel more full and satisfied and have even energy throughout the day, as well as, yes, it prevents excessive fluctuations in blood sugar that can affect cravings. Of course, ultimately, this is really important for this pre-diabetic state that we've mentioned a few times can really affect men. And so that's a great place to start when it comes to fiber. Mixes really easily, dissolves completely in water or any kind of liquid and won't cause any sort of digestive upset.
perfect. Perfect. And then ashwagandha, this is a kind of a underutilized approach to improving testosterone even in men, but also the stress, chronic stress that a lot of men they keep inside. On average, men they live 7 to 8 years less than women. A lot of that's from just keeping stuff in. And ashwagandha is a really good adaptogen, anti-stress herb that helps in just the stresses of life, but also with optimizing testosterone levels. You want to hit on ashwagandha a little bit here?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought this up because this is a plant-based botanical medicine that can be, it's helpful for so much, but supporting healthy testosterone levels is one that has been shown in research as well as certainly clinical feedback. So helping to get those testosterone levels up, which can really be a game changer for men in terms of mood, overall well-being, not to mention things like muscle mass, for example, energy, motivation, and sleep. More and more people are
Interesting.
reporting taking ashwagandha at bedtime and improving and reporting better sleep. And yes, stress response. So simply being more resilient in the face of stress. We can't control what's coming at us,
Right.
but we can control how we react to it. And sometimes that is has to do with just supporting our body's stress response system, which is something ashwagandha does.
And so what specific product has that in it there through natural factors?
We have ashwagandha
Just
as a
straight up
standalone
ashwagandha.
product, yeah, straight up in the Stress Relax line, and that is using KSM 66. So this is a form of ashwagandha that has been clinically proven, has gone through many clinical trials, looking at the different benefits I was talking about in terms of stress response, testosterone, for example. And this is something that, there's lots of different types of ashwagandha on the market. And if you're going to reach for one, you want to know that it's that something that has been standardized to the active ingredients, and that the combination of active ingredients from the way it's extracted, there's lots of different ways to extract ashwagandha, but the one you're taking has been clinically proven.
Right. And you might not need a lot. Some people, they report they get too relaxed from ashwagandha, but you might only need one capsule instead of three. A lot of people, especially here in the Western world, they say, oh, if a little bit's good, I'm going to take 5 ashwagandhas. You want to hit on that a little
Yes.
bit?
Oh, yes. You push my buttons on this one because it's true. It must be our nature maybe here that if a little is good, then more is better. That is rarely the case, or there's always a limit after which more is not any more good or possibly problematic. But
Right.
certainly, you want to be taking this and anything else we talk about, of course, on the show, Dr. Dan, in
Yes.
recommended amount, unless it's otherwise advised by your healthcare provider. But for most people, you can start with one capsule. The dose range can be from 1 to 3, but many people find the benefits even just with the one per day, depending on the person.
Right. Again, that's through the Stress Relax line, natural factors, ashwagandha, 600 milligrams per cap, and very good, effective for men's health as well. But I like that specifically it's the KSM 66 version here, folks. KSM 66 ashwagandha, which is the most clinically studied ashwagandha on the market. So you want to make sure you get in the right form before you say something doesn't work. You got to look into what the extract looks like and make sure there's research backing that specific nutrient, which is again the KSM 66, specifically to 5% withanides, which is that medicinal ingredient inside ashwagandha. The botanical name there, as you can see, is Withania somnifera. That's the botanical herbal name of ashwagandha. So, perfect. We've highlighted a great starting point. In fact, if you just start with a couple multivitamin capsules a day through Whole Earth and Sea, maybe a probiotic when you first get up, 1 or 2 capsules there, and then an ashwagandha before bed. That might be, we're not prescribing this, but maybe that's a logical starting point to cover your bases. Dr. Kate, what do you think of gut health, improving sleep, stress, testosterone, and then covering all those different nutrient bases with the multi?
Very much so, yes. And I think even just with those basic changes, and hopefully you're working on things like a better diet and,
Right.
stress response, but I think it's surprising to many people how quickly they can feel better and how much better they can feel in a short period of time. When you get used to feeling tired or lethargic or, whatever it is, lack of energy or not sleeping, and then that starts to come back into place, the, overall well-being that comes from that can be surprising.
And then, absolutely, this was just strictly adding supplements on board as like a cherry on top. But then tell us about optimizing sleep for men. A lot of men I work with, they're waking up throughout the night a couple times. Sometimes it's just for urination, but sometimes because of the overactive bladder, prostate, BPH, and large prostate. But also just from stress. They just wake up, so many things on their mind. What else can we do to start improving that sleep? I'm trying to always tell people get to bed as the sun starts setting. That's when we should start getting ready for bed, ideally. But tell us about that, getting adequate rest and sleep. Where can we start?
Absolutely. Oh, very much so. There's, sleep hygiene tips. So, maintaining ideally a consistent sleep schedule. In a perfect world, yes, we would go to bed and wake up with the sun and follow the
Right.
seasons. And even studies that have shown people, and I've seen the studies in adults and kids who spend more time out either in nature or exposed to natural light for as little as a weekend can help to reset their sleep-wake cycles, better melatonin production. But trying to respect your sleep and sleep schedule can make a big difference. Sleeping in a dark room, completely dark with blackout blinds.
Right.
And then when you wake up, exposure to light, get those blinds open or go outside, get some kind of ideally natural light if possible, as early as possible in the day.
Couldn't agree anymore, Dr. Kate. So, and that brings us pretty much to the end here. What's a good take home We highlighted men's health in our quick, 25, 26-minute snapshots here with Dr. Kate Rhéaume, representing Natural Factors. What's a good, there's men shopping in the store as we speak. They're listening to us here on the speakers. What would you leave them with here? How important is this message?
It's so important. If you're not feeling as well as you used to or as well as you think you should, don't accept that this is just a part of aging. That you can probably feel a lot better, even with some of the simple changes that we've been talking about. A good multivitamin in terms of foundational nutritional support, like the whole earth and sea, as well as omega-3s from something like RX Omega, gut support from a good probiotic, 12-12 or 24-12 ultimate formulas, and then, stress resilience, boosting testosterone from something as simple as ashwagandha. All of that goes a long way to feeling like your old self.
Amazing, Doc. Always appreciate you coming on, the whole team there, and Jeanette, Chanthi, everybody there at Natural Factors. You guys have been incredible partners. And thanks for all you do.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure speaking with you.